few minutes short about Malcolm X. Did you met with him?
I never met him, but I was living during his time. I saw him mostly on TV, and I was very impressed with it. More impressed with Malcolm than I was with Martin Luther King. Although I was impressed with Martin Luther King, but I was not a person that was passive. That if somebody hit me, that I couldn't do that. I couldn't come from that kind of background. But Malcolm was a man that said, look, no matter what, you stand up for what you believe. And with Malcolm, you know what I saw with Malcolm? Out of everybody that tells you that they're looking for the truth, he actually was looking for the truth. Because when the truth came, even though he was searching for the truth, and in searching for the truth, you fall into certain areas that you think is the truth. But when he realized that this wasn't the truth, he got out of it. That's a man that I admire, and that's a may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant him the highest state of the Jannah. Then the other thing that I admire about him is that he knew what he was going to say and what he stood for could mean his life. He could have scaled back. He could have said, nah, I can't. He knew that. He knew that eventually somebody would try to do something to him. Now, normally somebody else might say, you know what, it's not worth death. His man, the little bit of knowledge he had about Islam, but he had knowledge, but he was a good orator. He intellectual. He understood things. He had good perspective. He had good perception about life, and he was about justice, and he was about civil rights and human rights. And he took whatever little he knew about Islam, and he formulated, a strong advocate, and that it made me really understand with Malcolm. And then when I read the autobiography of Malcolm, that was it. That was part of what made it easy for me to become Muslim. When I read and I saw the transition from a pimp, from a gangster, from a thief, to the nation, and then to Islam. So I saw that, and like I said, he was sincere, inshallah. Because he could have said, no, I'm not giving up all this. This man was royalty. He was royalty. But he gave all that up. Because when he went to make Hajj and he saw he was lied to, he said, no, this lie. He gave it up. He came back. He wasn't silent. He came back. He said, look, they told me when I go to Mecca, there's no white people in Mecca. And matter of fact, it was the Turkish Muslims, alhamdulillah, it was the Turkish Muslims that he felt this camaraderie, this companionship. They treated him so well, he couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe it. He said, I was told that Europeans, white people were not, and I met these Turkish Muslims and how they treated me. So Malcolm, I would always make dua for him. May Allah, or rahimatullah, may Allah have mercy on him, even the little bit that he knew. But even what he knew, and what little bit he knew, he gave his life for it. He gave his life for Islam, inshallah. And so that's the way I remember Malcolm. And Malcolm was definitely a mentor. And he was a pinnacle for my coming to this deen, and for many others. Many other Muslims, African American, even white Muslims come here. They said, they read about Malcolm. They're here in Islam because they heard and they read about Malcolm, and they love the teachings of Malcolm, or Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, which is his Muslim name in that sense. So that's my take on Malcolm, inshallah.
So you mean he has affected spreading Islam here? Huh?
Oh, absolutely.
Would you give some samples like?
Well, like especially in Harlem, right? Harlem, where a lot of people came. Now, what it was is that before Islam, he was into a distortion, meaning the nation, and people came in groves through his teachings of that time. But when he became Muslim, people went over. A lot of people went over with him, and even after his death, a lot of people became Muslim. The Black Panther, a lot of the Black Panthers, you heard of the Black Panthers, a lot of them became Muslim, based on Al-Hajj Malik's teachings, so we have a masjid, MIB, which is in Harlem, you know, that it was based on the teachings of Malcolm and the establishment of Malcolm X. It's called the Muslim Islamic Brotherhood, you know. So a lot of it, but a lot of teachings, a lot of people today, if you speak to most African Americans during my period, will tell you it was El-Hajj Malik Shabazz, subhanAllah. It was El-Hajj Malik Shabazz, Malcolm X, that influenced them into becoming to Islam, inshallah.